today's video, I'm going to be sharing a free tutorial on how to create these cute bees. Your mind gets so creative in varying what colors and what type of things that you want to do. Like with this candy corn bee, you would need yellow, orange, and white, and some black. I still have the tags on these because these are going to go to market with me, so that's why we're seeing tags, okay? And then we have an autumn bee. Okay, you have some browns and orange that is not so bright, and then this is a peach color. And then we have the Zom-bee, and I love this little guy because he's got purple, which is my favorite color, black, and green. Now, I find that I don't necessarily use a lot of green in the things that I'm creating, so I was really excited. Oh, and his wings are gray. And again, another color that I don't necessarily use a lot of, so I was super excited to create this Zom-bee. So, with that being said, if you are creating any of these, we are going to go through step by step. Okay, for this project, you are going to need chenille yarn. You're going to use a little bit of acrylic yarn. Also, you're going to need a pair of scissors, 12 millimeter safety eyes, 5 millimeter crochet hook, and a yarn needle. Right. Each of these bees is going to start the same. So we're just going to do the face part first. And we're going to do the Zom-bee color because I usually start with a slip knot on my hook, and then chain 2, chain 2, and then I will work 6 single crochets into the second loop from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next row is going to be doubles. I like to use the yo method, so yarn under, yarn over. You can crochet this however you usually crochet it. So I am going to increase, so 2 in each of the stitches, making 12. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, for the third row, we are going to do a single crochet and an increase, making 18 stitches in this row. So you see, I never mark because sometimes what I'll do is take the tail and I will pull it forward to keep my count. So if I get disrupted, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3. Always do that with a spare piece of yarn if you don't, your tail's not long enough. It's just a hack where you can keep crocheting and not lose your count. Keep going around until you've reached your 18. Okay, now that I've reached 18, I'm going to pull my tail out and I'm going to go 24. I am going to do, because it's the 5th row, we were going to do 3 single crochets and an increase, making it 5. The number that we want is 30. Okay, the next little bit that you're going to do, you're going to pull out your tail or your stitch marker if you're using a stitch marker. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the back loop for 30. 1, For right now, I'm going to stop at this point because I'm going to do a color change. And I am going to go to purple. I have two different kinds of purples. Hard choice. Let's see here. Which one do I want to be this brighter one? All right, but knowing that this is going to be the bottom of my bee, I am going to turn it around right here, and I am going to go ahead and do the eyes right now. With the eyes, you're going to need one safety eye, and I am going to place it in the center, and I am going to do the eye between rows 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'm going to place the eye there, and there's going to be 5 in between. So just remember that if you're creating for the the candy corn bee or the harvest bee. So I'm going to go ahead and put this stitch marker, or I'm going to go ahead and put the back on that. And I like to assemble before, so I'm not having to weave in ends. So now I'm just going to count 5 in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this section right here, I'm going to do the crisscross for the zombie eye. And I'm going to just use this other yarn that is not chenille yarn. Let me see if I can find the end of it. There we go. And I like this because I am going to, I can tie it on the back before we get moving forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to come through the back here and come like this, just leave a little tail right here. And I'm going to do crisscross or cross. I don't know why I keep saying crisscross. You think crisscross applesauce, pull it under through like I'm tying a shoe. So there is my X for the zombie eye. So he looks so cool. All right, I cut off a lot more. I can use that for another one. And I'm going to just tie this in a knot. So right over left, square knot, left over right. There we go. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to take a little bit of yarn here. You don't have to do this step, but I like to do it. I am going to create a little cheek on under the regular eye, not the zombie eye, because that would be kind of weird looking, I think. All right. And I'm just going to go right underneath the eye, leaving a tail on the back. Go underneath the eye and do it twice, so there's like 2 loops, so it's right underneath there. And I love this because you can use up little scrap pieces of yarn. So there we go. And then I'm going to snip that so the tail isn't so long, and I'm going to do the same thing, a square knot. Right over left. Whee. Get out of the way, you. Get out of the way, you. And left over right. Okay, now I am going to change my color. So I'm going to pull this tail out so it doesn't get confusing. And I won't need it for a little bit because I am changing colors. I will be able to see what row I'm on. So I'm going to change the colors, and I am going to use this purple. And so how I change colors, I do a slip knot so it doesn't pull through. I slide that on my hook, and I just pull it through. See how I have 2 loops on there? I didn't quite complete that single crochet. I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter, and then I'm going to continue on with my single crochet, working in the tails here, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to do 30 again. So 1, now we got this wonky little, if you keep crocheting along there, it's going to look weird. So I just crochet down in here, pull it up and slip stitch it through so you have a nicer finish. And now I'm going to use a tail, so I can use that green tail again. And I'm going to do another 30 around, and I'm going to do that off camera. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit because I want to put the antenna on, and what I do is I put the antenna like directly over where the eyes are. So with my black yarn, or if you're doing a harvest bee, you know, whatever color yarn, or if you're doing any sort of bee that is a different color. So I'm going to leave myself a little bit of a tail because that's going to be important. So I am going to slip stitch that on to my hook and go right over the eye, right where we did that back loop. I'm going to work that in right over the eye right there, and I'm going to slip stitch that on and then kind of cinch it down a little bit, and then I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch it back down in. So 1, 2, it's hard to see with black, and then 3, and I'm going to slip stitch, and then I'm going to leave a tail and then pull that through. Okay, now with my needle, I'm going to take this tail and I'm going to work it in right here. I'm going to pull it back through the inside, and then I'm going to take the first one and I'm also going to work that in. I love hiding all of these things and making it so I don't have to poke it in at the end. Just pull it down right there. And then on this back side, guess what? We're going to tie another square knot. So right over left, I can get my fingers to work, right over left, and then left over right. Okay, gonna do that on the other side. See how cute? Totally cute. And I love this green. Himalayan yarn, I don't know what the color number is. So now I'm gonna leave myself a little bit of a tail again, and I'm going to slip stitch or slip knot. I don't know why I keep saying slip stitch. Slip knot onto my hook right over the eye in that ledge right there, ridge, whatever. Going to do the same thing over again. So slip stitch, cinch it down a little bit, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch 3 down, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to finish off leaving a tail again. Alright, and now I'm going to work those tails in to that back side again, and see, automatically the antenna want to point down, which is kind of fun. I like how they're like kind of little skiwonkus. So I'm going to work that back down in there. Alright, right over left, cinch it down, and left over right. There we go. Look, his face is so cute. All right. As you can see, it's the same with your harvest bee. Okay, you do the same thing except for the X, you put an eye, so, and you make the cheeks. Same with the candy corn bee. Okay, super simple. Okay, the next thing that I really want to work on are the wings. We're going to leave the face for a second because I want to make the wings, which we will also tie on. I'm going to use gray, because why not? all these colors I'm using up, I don't necessarily use a lot of, so I'm happy that I could do that. Do the slip knot, chain 2, 1, 2. I find this method helps me that my chenille works better. So 1, we're going to do an increase, so we're going to do 12. So 2 in each makes it 12. So now I am going to do 18. So we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase. Now I'm going to fasten off and leave a good tail right there. And I'm going to make another wing, and I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, we're going to work in this starter tail, and then we will get on to the wing combination. So you can work that in off camera. Okay, now we have 2 wings. Sometimes I fold them in half and give them a different look, which this one looks like right here. And sometimes I have kept, for this one, I have kept it where the little, oh, you could do it, you could flip it whichever way you want it to. You could do it this way, or you could make him, which it naturally goes like this, okay? Whichever look you want. So what I'm going to do is I am going to sew the wings together. And I'm going to take this side with this tail, and I'm going to sew it in the center with the other one. You're going to want to keep that tail. I know it's tricky, but it helps. So I'm going to just do a whip stitch between the 2 of them to combine them together. This, pull that other tail out of the way. So like 2 or 3 stitches together. There we go, now we finished 3. And I'm going to make sure this goes to the back. And then I'm going to, see, that one will automatically go to the back. So there, that's combined. We're going to put this aside and then continue on with the bee. All right, 2 rows of 30 in the purple, and now crochet 5 rows of 30. So I have 3 on here. I'm going to continue. Now that we've gotten to that row, I'm going to attach the wings on here, and I'm going to attach them between rows 9 and 10. Back to row 10, and I want to do it between the antenna and between the eyes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so hold it down because that's how we're going to roll here. Actually, I need to put my darning needle on there, and I'm going to work this down in there, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to just kind of stitch this on right here, and then I'm going to take the other tail and do the same thing, and then we're going to tie it just to give it extra security. Can't speak today very clearly apparently. And now I'm going to pull my crochet hook out of the way. I'm going to take these tails and I'm going to tie a knot. Obviously you don't need to do them that long, my goodness. 1, 2, I'm going to do this one like 3 knots just because I have a feeling that this will get pulled on. All right, now we're going to snip these a little bit because these are rather long, and we'll just use these for stuffing later. Okay, this is what your bee is shedding a lot. So this is what your bee looks like so far. Pretty cute. Okay, now that we have our 5 rows of purple, I am going to switch to black. Slip knot onto my hook. I'm work this color in, and we're going to do 1 row of 30. And I like to grab the other color I'm working over, so I'm just going to do a couple stitches like that. 2, 3, and then I am going to trim off this other tail, and then I'm going to go ahead and work that 30 around, and then I'll meet back up with you. Now that I've worked that around, now we're going to start our decreases. So we're going to decrease, so we have 24 in the round. So we single crochet 3 and then do a decrease. So 1, I know this is hard to see, 2, 3, and then your decrease. 8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off camera and meet you back here. Okay, we're going to decrease again to 18, so that's 2 single crochet and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3. It's really hard with black to see on camera, but I'm going to keep doing that until I finish and I have 18. So we can start stuffing the bee now, because we're at that point. We're getting close to the end. So just lightly stuff it, and I can take the ends of what I have already cut off and I can just throw them in there too. That's what I do often. Saves on some stuffing. And you can stuff this to whatever you like. I like to kind of push it out to give it a little more shape. And we're just gonna keep going. Now what's fun about this bee is that you can obviously change the colors, but you can change how many rows you do of each. Like every time I've made this, I think I've made it different. Stuff it a little bit and we'll smooth him out so he's not so like flat-faced like that. I don't want him flat-faced. See how he's flat-faced? I don't want him flat-faced. Now we are going to do another decrease to 12, so that means 1 single crochet with a decrease. So crochet 1 and then a decrease. And you're going to keep going around until you hit 12. I've reached my 12 and I'm going to continue to stuff because I think he can be a little bit more plump. Okay, and we're going to decrease again. So that will be a decrease, just decreases around, so you'll have 6. The hole's a little bit smaller, but I think I'd like him to be a little bit more plump because bees are fun and plump. I don't want it hard, but you know, stuffing your amigurumi is totally a personal preference, how you do that. Okay, now I think he's stuffed to what I want him to be stuffed to. So I'm going to decrease 3. So now you're going to tie it off. Okay. So he has a little bit of a stinger, if you can see that. And then, see how he has a little stinger? You see that? There we go. Adorable. And his little wings are so silly. Let me work in the ends and then I'll start talking. Work in the tail, and you don't want to pull too tight because we want him to have a little bit of a stinger so that you can see. And then I'm going to work this in again. Who likes to work with black yarn? Not necessarily a favorite of mine, but when it's a fun project, I say yeah. Like I said, you can change them up, make them different colors. It's candy corn is probably one of my favorites, and the autumn bee. But these guys are going to my market next week, and I will be having a video about my market prep and all that stuff. Surprise, I shoot this in my kitchen because there is better light than in my office. I haven't figured out my lighting situation. My dog is going crazy. Talking to her. If you like today's content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, as this helps my channel to grow. Appreciate all your love and support. Happy crocheting.